So, good evening, everybody. How do you feel this evening? Great. So, of course, first of all, thank you, everybody, for attending this very exciting event. We've been waiting it for a few months, actually. And I know that most of you are actually students that maybe recently or over the few past years, you've been participating in some Kabbalah study. How many people here already studied Kabbalah in the past? Great. How many people here are coming first time for Kabbalah speech? Excellent. So we have some people here that have heard and learned some Kabbalah. We have some people that are new for the whole subject of Kabbalah. So before we'll start, just really few short words about Kabbalah. I'm sure that your friends told you what Kabbalah is all about, but nevertheless a little bit. We know that Kabbalah is universal spiritual system. Probably the most ancient system, spiritual system, known to mankind. We also know that it preceded all religions, so it belongs basically to just any kind of a person, whoever wants to improve their lives, to remove some chaos, to reach greater level of fulfillment. The ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, which is thousands of years old, this ancient practical spiritual system offering us so much, whether it's practical tools, consciousness, understanding about what life is all about, what is the purpose of life, what is it that we came here to accomplish, and actually how we can do it. I think that if I will ask most of you, how many of you familiar a little bit with Murphy's Law? How many people experience some Murphy? You know, it's this phenomena that if there is a chance for something will go wrong, for something to go wrong, sometimes it happens. So I'm sure that each one of us has a little bit experience with things not exactly working the way we like it. And maybe sometimes it creates some discomfort, a little bit chaos in our lives. What Kabbalah as a spiritual system is offering us, it's a practical manual, if you like, a spiritual GPS of how to remove chaos from our lives and reach higher levels of fulfillment. Of course, when the Kabbalists talk about fulfillment, it's not the temporary fulfillment that we are familiar with. It's not the different quick fixes that we all sometimes like to enjoy in our lives. When the Kabbalists speak about fulfillment, they talk about lasting fulfillment. Something that stays with us more than few seconds, few days, or even few years, whether it's in our relationships, whether it's in our love life, whether it's with our business, with our health, of course, just about every and each area of our lives. I'm very excited about this event tonight because we have the privilege today to hear about Kabbalah, some interesting ideas from a real, true Kabbalist. Over the generations, it was many people that maybe wrote books about Kabbalah. Over the last 100 years, we had so many people maybe that teach so much wisdom and spirituality, including Kabbalah. But we have tonight with us Yehuda Berg. I have so many things to say about Yehuda Berg, so many things that I want to say. I kind of just leave it to Yehuda to do his own magic. I can just say that he's a great teacher, helping to transform and change the lives of millions around the globe. And he's doing it by the beautiful books and very powerful books that he wrote. And he's doing it with actually reaching out and touching people's lives. I think he's number one of how many people he has on Facebook. But I'm not sure. Anyway, welcome Yehuda Berg.
Good evening. Is the mic working? Yes, and the stream's on? Okay, so we have all our friends here and a bunch of people watching. We're streaming on you also mentioned my Facebook page, but we stream the lecture right to Facebook, so there's people who could come physically and join us, and then the people who can't, we have it available online. And today's world's a different world. You know, you look at the world today, and you look at the world 100 years ago, or even 5 years ago. It's a different world with its challenges, with the good stuff and the maybe not so great stuff. And as people, we have to evolve as our world evolves. If we stay the same, if we still would have our little farm and do the things that we do that we would 100 years ago, we've evolved as the world around us evolves. And creatures, even our physical being has evolved from anything. Even a few months ago, you give a lecture today, you write some notes on your iPad, and it's completely different. It's technology has brought us closer and caused a bunch of problems as well. So, suddenly, you have access 24/7. I have a BlackBerry for the BBM, and people constantly, right? If you have a BlackBerry, people, they know if you got the message, they know if you read it, and they want to know why you didn't reply to them. And then I'm in love with my iPhone, so I have the both because anyway, I'm very into technology, and I use it to. I wake up, the first thing I do is I check my email, I check my Facebook, I check my Twitter, and then I start my day. Sometimes I do them even before I really wake up, and my wife's like, you could get out of bed before you start everything. Anyway. She also tells me I share too much, so if I end up sharing too much, it's okay. An interesting thing happened to me, and I learned personally, what I teach is stuff that I personally have either experienced or things that I actually either happened to me, stories, experiences, and the lessons I share, and we share in general in the Kabbalah Center. There's something that we've all been touched personally with. We've all actually have a connection with, not just something you read and you share, which is also great because information is also great to have, but something that actually could be used. And 2 weeks ago, my mom calls me up, and my mom was also a teacher of mine. She calls me up and says, a friend of ours has been in a car accident, and you must gather the people together, make a prayer for this woman. She's going into the hospital. She was in a head-on collision, and you must pray for her. Okay. So put the phone down, send some emails, make some phone calls. We gather a group, some in person, some virtually, and we do a study. We do a study, a prayer, to send energy to this person. My mom calls me up an hour later, and he says, you wouldn't believe what happened. I said, how is she? He says, you wouldn't believe what happened. So she's rushed into the emergency room. The first thing they do is an MRI. The first thing. Because head-on collision, they want to know how bad how bad her brain was affected. The rest of her was sort of okay. It's maybe a few stitches here and there, but not really bad. But her head, when smacked, it was a head-on, so she got whiplash front and then straight into the airbag. They just needed to know the degree of her concussion. She was vomiting and nausea, and it's all the classic symbols of a concussion. The question of how bad the concussion is. She has the MRI, and the MRI discovered the concussion wasn't so bad, but they found the beginning of a tumor, the cells of beginning of a tumor, and she tells me, and she says, if she doesn't have the accident, she doesn't have the MRI. She doesn't have the MRI. They don't discover the cells. And maybe a month, 6 months, 9 months, a year later, it's discovered, and potentially could be a life-threatening situation. But now that they went at the beginning, they found it. And, many times in our life, when we either there's some news or we hear something or something happens, usually